It's just a few short weeks away from the RX-7 shootout, July 21st at Race Motive, and my K-Series RX-7 project is nowhere near where it needs to be. Parts have been absolutely flooding in for this build, and luckily, the most important one just showed up. A beautiful 750 wheel horsepower built bottom end from Rammy Racing with nothing but the best inside. Weissaco pistons, Rammy Racing rods, and ARP hardware throughout. This is well more power than I was originally planning for this car, but we'll get into the details of that a little bit later. Right now, we need to get this engine mounted into this chassis. Before we can do that though, we have to put this bad boy in place. And what this is a T56 Magnum from our friend Joel over at Granis Racing. The only real question mark we have is what transmission mount it's going to use. And for that, we have a couple options. This is the RX-7 rotary transmission mount for the Magnum XL transmission. And then this is the FD mount for a 2J. And then we have the completely custom route that we can go if none of these work out.
How close are we to you, Oz?
You have, I'm good. You have probably about 8 inches until we hit the pan on the subframe. Yeah. We're starting with the FD transmission mount for the rotary setup, but we got to get it out of the way to get the shifter passed. That is basically pan touching subframe and not even close to where it needs to be. Yikes. So first test fit, we're looking pretty good width-wise with the intake manifold and the turbo manifold. The first thing that we're running into though is back here near the firewall. These are our cam sensors, obviously very important. We don't want to slam them into the firewall. The other obstacle that looks like it's popping up pretty quick is this distance from the manifold to the booster. And if you look at where we are to the subframe and the oil pan, this is not looking great.
6 inches to center, 6.5 to the back side of center.
The problem is the brake booster. We can't just, I'm fine chopping into the firewall, but the brake booster is going to limit.
Well, worst case, couldn't you corner off that plenum and re-weld it?
Yeah. But you see, like I'm going to right. Yeah, okay, so 6. Yeah, you're right. So 6, because that has the notch.
So it's 6 there, 6.5 there. I mean, if you can get here good, take all this out, notch the corner of that out, you're in.
Yeah, I think we need to chop the firewall.
As far as the engine goes, we're going to make just a couple slight adjustments. The Granis bell housing here has 2 provisions for the dowels in it. Square, like we have it right now, where the motor sits nice and vertical, or offset, where we can tilt the motor over towards the passenger side some, which should give us some clearance on this intake manifold to the brake booster. Maybe, just maybe, we won't have to chop that thing up. The other change that we're making is with the cam sensor. This cam sensor is from a 06 Plus S2000.
Keep going, keep going.
All right, you got about 1 inch to the pan to the subframe. This trans mount, the 2J trans mount, might line up.
Yeah, but we got about 5 inches
For the pan?
for the pan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, I'm flat now on the trans mount. If we can set the depth of the engine where it is right now, then the 2J mount for the trans will work.
Chop this whole center out,
Yeah.
and then just box the whole bottom of it.
Well, that's what we were talking about
And
doing.
that would lose whatever that width
Yeah.
is, because the tube would then be down there.
Yeah, it's
And
essentially
you have
what we were
full-
talking about doing with the front.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have full
Yeah.
open space. It would gain a lot of its structure.
I agree.
This looks a lot better than yesterday. Sneak peek. Boom.
Yeah, plenty clear.
Woohoo!
Yeah, keep doing that.
Robin.
The FuelTech FT550, the ECU that's going to be powering all of my RX-7 project. It's going to be a little bit later in the video before we get this thing all wired up, but that doesn't mean that you have to wait to save on this or any other FuelTech product for your project. Use the promo code ScrapLifeGarage when you head on over to fueltech.net and save 5% on anything currently available on the website. ECUs, a wire harness, fuel system components, even merch. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Our promo code ScrapLifeGarage stacks on top of existing FuelTech promotions. So if you see a sale, use our promo code, you save an additional 5%. Looking forward to firing this thing up a little bit later in the video, but for now, we got more fabrication to do. First, we're going to go ahead and make a crossbar for the rear section of the subframe that is currently open. We have a nice spot in between the transmission and the oil pan that is perfect for adding some extra rigidity into this front subframe. Then when we move to the front, we're going to go ahead and connect the steering rack locations to the outside of the subframe, because our next step on the journey here is going to be chopping out this whole middle section of the subframe. With the subframe notch, we have this seemingly as low into the chassis as we can possibly go. We have just barely a fingertip's worth of space onto the steering rack, which still needs to be tightened down, so we'll gain a little bit there. But before we kind of lock this into its final position, we want to put it up in the air, see what the driveline angle looks like to ultimately see if we want to go down more or maybe even back up a hair.
89.4. 88.9, 1.1.
Completely level the rear of the trans, and then
This is never going to change.
Correct.
And with this bar, this is not going to deflect. Or shouldn't deflect. Should deflect minimally.
Yeah. Now that we have this transmission location completely locked down and we have the engine in place, we can go ahead and move on to the engine mounts. And for that, what I picked up is a Collins Rx7 to K20 mount assembly. Tim is over there modifying the mounts that come on it. They are extremely heavy duty, but nowhere near what we need for all of our angles. But what I wanted was those adapter plates, and we're gonna build off of those. So this here is the driver's side mount. We've already cut it a little bit so it clears the frame rail, but you can see that the gap right there between the biscuit and the mount itself is what we are looking to fill. Over here on this side, we already have the mount onto the Ronin subframe tacked in place, and we're gonna be working from this Collins engine mount out to the biscuit. All right, moment of truth to see if she holds the weight. We still got some more welding to do on the bottom side of it, but... Well, it has been a very, very long day getting this thing in place, but I think that pretty much we have it exactly where we want it, given what we were up against. There's a whole lot of finished work that still needs to be done on this, which we're gonna do off camera, and then we'll move on to putting some of the go fast stuff on. And that is as far as we're gonna get right now. We're still waiting on a couple fittings, and we have a date with our fabricator, Josh. I have a literal trunk full of parts to drop off with the car into his capable hands, and then we'll just have to save that first start up for when the car's back here at the shop. I just got back with the car from Fabrication. He was able to put together the pieces of my vision on this setup pretty much exactly as I had it drawn up. Radiator, intercooler, piping, and exhaust. It is all in there, and this should be a pretty efficient setup. We're just moments away from firing this thing up for the first time, but we have a couple small things that we need to wrap up before we do that. Plenty of wiring. No vacuum leaks is important. Usually you need a seat to drive a car. We're not going anywhere without a drive shaft. Plumbing, plumbing, and more plumbing. Oil is definitely one of the most important things for an engine, as Tim does his best bartender impersonation here. Gas is important as well, and this thing isn't running on regular 93 octane. This is E85. And then finally, the perfect finishing touch.
Can you raise the fuel pressure, please? More. Good. Good. Calibrate 0. Calibrate 100.
So it's reading something, it's just not...
It's reading my pedal, but it's not saving it. Oh! Oh! Worked that time. Is it moving? Can you hear that thing buzzing?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay.
All right. First crank, fuel injectors are unhooked.
Ready?
Oh, hold on.
That sounds like oil.
Well, a slight oversight. You see, our feed for the turbo comes from the standoff plate on the remote adapter for the oil filter, and well, we just forgot to put that plug into the factory oil pressure location. Did you guys see that ugly VTEC cover that Tim put on this thing?
I think it looks great. It's patina. Still not going to start. I want to see the oil pressure too.
Seemingly no additional leaks. All right, give it a shot. We got a little bit of coolant. Whenever you're ready.
Awesome oil pressure. I think it's just because it's getting heat.
Okay, so pretty happy with our first startup here. We do have a couple issues that we need to figure out though. It doesn't appear that the car is charging, which seems to be like our reoccurring theme whenever we fire up a new build around here. The other issue that we're seeing is that we don't appear to have any control over the throttle body. We're getting a reading from the pedal, but it's not interfacing with the throttle body. It is a GM pedal, and then it's like a Bosch, like a Porsche or a German style throttle body. There's parameters in the fuel tech for each of them, so I didn't think that this would be an issue, but maybe we just don't have the settings right. And then we're also still chasing a coolant leak.
It's chaos around here. Absolute chaos.
Our charging issue turned out to be the alternator itself. Unfortunately, the access wasn't great, so we had to disassemble some of the stuff that we had previously assembled. But once we got some stuff out of the way, the alternator came out nice and easy. The new unit went right back in, and once it was plugged in, we had a charge. So it's responding right now.
Really?
Yeah. It just like cycled through.
Yeah, I'm hitting the gas pedal right now.
It's responding. 100% responding.
Okay, so then it like Viper V10, 74.
So after getting our butts kicked for about half a day and chasing all sorts of coolant leaks, this thing is seemingly ready for its first test drive.
So far, so good.
Ooh, I'm digging the sound already.
It's pretty smooth. It runs pretty good. It doesn't mind load. AFRs are good. Steering wheel's not straight. Track's straight.
It literally looks like it's just one turn off. We can just.
I got it. Yeah, we need those brakes though.
All right, alignment and brakes. This thing sounds way better than I was anticipating.
I'm impressed.
It's got like a low tone to it. Like It sounds like it's got some muscle there.
How fast are we going?
Oh yeah, we don't have a speedometer.
We don't need those.
The wind 54 is what my arm tells me. Doing the airplane out the window.
Is that calibrated?
Fine-tuned from years and years of riding around with my parents.
Temps look good. AFRs are still good.
For as much crap as we just went through, I feel like this is too easy to a certain degree.
Too easy. I mean, it certainly feels that way. The battery's charging perfectly. We haven't run out of gas yet.
We got the stock seats in here. We don't have those awfully uncomfortable but very cool tillets anymore. This thing literally feels like a completely different car. Because it is. Dude.
That was 3 pounds of boost. AFR was 12, 4 pounds, 5 pounds.
It sounds awesome over here. Like, you literally like hear it like building.
Sounds great.
It doesn't sound like a Honda, which is what I wanted.
We lost.
Don't worry, we're at least locals. Don't shoot us, please.
Trying to be,
Eastern Shore people are crazy.
we don't belong on this street. The guy's got we don't belong on a street with airplanes and garages.
Yeah, that's a runway right there. It's grass, but it's a runway. I haven't given you guys a ton of details about the setup. I gave you some of the basics on the engine at the very beginning of the video, but we're about to throw this thing on the dyno, and I'm sure you're wondering what to expect. This is a HTA 3586 turbo on a 2-liter Honda K20. So, might be a tad bit laggy, but this thing's gonna make some power. We brought the K-Swap FD all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia to Fuel Tech USA headquarters. Tim and I are learning a absolutely massive amount about this platform and also the Fuel Tech ECU, its capabilities, and we basically got to the point where we're ready to start doing some power pulls. Time to see what this thing can make. Result, not what I was expecting.
Hopefully it makes more than 250 horsepower.
That's not the number you wanted to see?
Yeah, no.
What's wrong with 250 horsepower, man?
It's not enough.
I like this guy.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
It's only 10 pounds.
So the basic cliff notes, 10 pounds of boost, there is no VTEC on that pole, and there was no variable valve timing. So we're gonna make a couple adjustments here, and then we'll see what we get next.
7,500 RPM. More boost. More boost. VTEC and variable valve timing is working now also. So actually we had variable valve timing on the last run, just the regular cam moving back and forth. This time it's actually going to have the VTEC turning on and more boost. That's the best part, more boost. More power.
Better than me. This is what I used to do.
Oh no!
On a table.
I would literally use the tool and tap it shut and measure. I mean, this only goes down to 20, but I would tap that tab as you tap me. I mean,
This should be a considerably higher horsepower number. All right, there we go. We're moving in the right direction. That's not bad, right?
much better.
17 pounds.
17 pounds.
11.4 AFR, so we're steady there. That was good. More boost.
Needs more spring. What you guess?
508. 508.
505.
It's not Price is Right.
How much power do you think it's going to make?
I don't know. I haven't been watching how much it made last time, but 6 would be nice.
Okay. I like where your head's at.
I think it was breaking up a little bit.
I think it was waking up a little bit.
It made 20 because it hit the overboost.
I say it sounded like it was coming in hard. There we go. That's a better number. That'll work.
That was better.
That's a step in the right direction. Big step.
More boost.
Hey! Look at that number. There we go. Does it have any more?
Made 30.
Hell yes. Does it have any
Oh,
more?
I gotta see what duty cycle we're
All right, we'll give you a minute. I am massively impressed by this little Honda engine. Probably the most impressive part is that this is a completely bone stock cylinder head. It's a very good cylinder head, but there are no cams, no valve springs, no retainers, nothing. Bone stock. And this thing just put down 630 horsepower. Everything's looking good. Everything's looking nice and safe. This is that run where we're, gonna kind of throw that Hail Mary. Wow. That was awesome. That was sick. The experience that we got here today is honestly second to none. I learned so much about just the intricacies of this setup and also just engines in general, stuff that I haven't gone that in depth before, and to be able to talk with somebody as knowledgeable as Cameron and all the other guys that are here in the building has just been a really, really cool experience. And the big thing is that you can have this experience as well. The Fuel Tech education courses, you can come sign up and do exactly what we just did here today. And the other big thing is that the promo code that I told you about earlier in the video, you can use it on the education courses. Oh, And the juke's back too. I was gonna end this video after fuel tech, but I figured if you're still sticking around to this point, you probably deserve to see this thing in action. We're up here at Pocono Raceway with the Race Motive crew. We got the RX-7 shootout going on. We're gonna see how this K-Series RX-7 does.
Dude, I don't fit in this thing for shit. I was so mad when he told me he was putting the stock seats in this one. I was like, how do you want me to drive this thing with stock seats? Yeah, I'm like slouched down, and yeah, I was like, come on, man, give me a good set of seats so I don't feel like this. Oops. Honestly, do you smell rubber?
Do you think it's rubbing?
I think it's rubbing that left corner. Because it was right after every shift, like when it reared back.
I smelled rubber before, and I thought it was other cars.
Yeah,
It might have been this car.
I'm pretty sure it's rubbing that corner.
Yeah.
Tires are rubbing a little bit.
Oh yeah.
How'd it feel though?
So it feels good, but any bump or gear change, it tracks weird because the tire rubs.
Okay.
So like the car shimmied. Oh, every time I shifted and every little bump you hit, it would like the car would shimmy because I guess it was like grabbing the fender a little bit.
Yeah, we probably need to raise it up a good bit.
Either that or break the Bondo away.
Oh man, look.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
wow. Yeah, well this side's actually a considerable amount higher.
Yeah. Do you have coilover wrenches?
Yeah. Yeah, we can raise it up. No big deal, just scraping Bondo off. So Alex qualified number 2 in the RX-7 class. I got a bye first round because I was number 1 qualifier with the LS car. So this is first round of elimination. I'm gonna be a gracious host here because I'm racing my own car with my brother piloting it. I'm gonna go ahead and let you set the pace, okay? Did you put the spicy map in it or what?
You better be on your game. I'm gonna leave you back.
All right, we'll see what happens. Well, second place is simply the first loser in my eyes, but when you're going up against a car that makes more than 100 rear wheel horsepower more and has a superior driver, I guess there's really only so much you can ask for. I am very proud of how far this car has come in such a short period of time though. As for what's next for this car, I truly don't know. There's obviously a large amount of body work that needs to be done on this car, just a few little small odds and ends mechanically, and then a couple other interior items that need to be wrapped up. And I might even consider throwing this thing up for sale and seeing if somebody else wants to wrap up the remainder of this project. It'd be really nice to get some money flowing back into my bank account after so much has gone out on these RX-7 projects over the past couple months. But for now, we'll go ahead and just leave that as a to be determined.
And by the way, the new Toyota Prius looks
kind of think they look a little sporty.
What did he say? I said, you telling me you want a Prius? He said, no, that's not what I said, man.
I mean, they look good.
If I had a driver,
They do look good.
I am recording. That was on film.
That a Prius?
You're in trouble.
Prius
I was recording that whole time.